Hi. This week I have a track from a project that I've been working on with some rather unusual limitations. I had to write a loop using retro-sounding, low-resolution computer sounds with up-tempo jazzy influences. I was limited to a very small file size and given a very tight deadline. Now, this particular track that I'm going to show you didn't match the style of the rest of the project very well, so it's one of several that wound up on the cutting room floor, which means now I can show it to you guys. I sampled a Game Boy for the Square synth and for the Noise synth, and I sampled my keyboard, Roland Juno DI, for the drum kit, and a trumpet with Harmon Mute on it, no stem, in 3 different articulations: Marcato, Legato, and Forte Piano, in a very, very close microphone for a dry mix. To make this thing loop, I used an introduction, which also functions as a transition leading out of my last phrase, which brings me to an interesting point. I used to struggle over conceptualizing my introductions and conclusions until I worked out that introductions and conclusions are nothing more than transitions, of which one of the 2 endpoints is silence. Let's think for a moment about what a transition does. A transition establishes tonality, and a transition sets up harmonic tension. Transition anticipates the motive of the accompaniment. Transition satisfies the need for a negative space. A transition can't make me a sandwich. Okay, what does an introduction do? An introduction establishes tonality. An introduction sets up harmonic tension. An introduction anticipates the motive of the accompaniment. An introduction satisfies the need for negative space, and an introduction also will not make me a sandwich either. An introduction is a transition out of silence, and a conclusion is a transition into silence. That makes the job a lot simpler, since I already know how to write a transition. So here I have a transition that can start either from my last phrase or from silence. I achieved that here with an arpeggiated sequence that cascades down a chromatic scale, and the harmonic ambiguity here dissolves any previously established tonic and allows the passage to come to rest really nearly anywhere. That kind of device could be especially useful if I'm worried that a track might end up in a playlist alongside something in an unknown key, or some situation like that. Now, it's a really short loop. It's only about 45 seconds long, so that helps keep the file size down. And the texture is also fairly thin. I only used 6 channels on this one. And since I sampled what amounts to an 8-bit instrument, I could use a low resolution to store those sounds without losing any quality. So altogether, the file size is about half a megabyte. So this week's challenge is for you to write a low-resolution jazzy loop. I think it's time we blow this joint. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.